Hey everyone, it's Mark Skipper Mark. Today Matt is going to do rear brakes, disc brakes, on a friend's 2007 RAV4. They've been needing to be changed for a while, and she didn't really want to spend the money to go to a dealer, so she asked if Matt would be willing to do it. So let's go and see how to get this done. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Matt said he prefers to jack up one side and work on that side, and then lower the car down and then jack up the other side and then work on that side, rather than jack up both sides and work on one and then the other. Next, you want to take off the caliper. And then the caliper bracket.
You know, I'm gonna get my battery for my little one.
The next step is to push back the caliper piston, but before you do this, you want to open the master cylinder fill cap. If you don't, the piston won't push back easily because of pressure in the system. As you can see, it's about 1/4 inch too full, so he took some out using a straw. At this point, you're actually ready to push the piston back. And that just pushes back to hold it.
This pushes back because when the pads wear, this has to like compensate for the pad being thinner. Okay. That's what squeezes the brakes and slows you down.
Sometimes the old brake rotors are rusted in place and need a really good whack to set them free. It's very important to take a brass brush and clean any rust and dirt off the brake assembly. Matt gets all his parts from Summit Racing and went with Power Stop Evolution coated rotors. He likes the coated ones because they provide protection against salt, which is important here in the Northeast. He also went with Power Stop Evolution Plus pads. These are higher quality and they don't cost a ton. The nice thing about doing repairs on your own is that you can use really high quality parts and you don't have to pay a dealer markup on them. From the factory, traditional rotors are coated with oil, so you want to use brake clean to wipe them down and get rid of all that oil. They say that you don't have to do that with coated rotors, but Matt still likes to do it. Matt also likes to verify the size before putting the new rotors on the car.
Another thing is, I was just telling for you when the rotor's on, you can just like put this one up backwards to match them up.
Next, you want to remove the old pads and then any retaining clips if there's any left, and then clean any rust or dirt on the caliper bracket. Matt says you want to remove any dirt or rust from the slide pins. He said this is one of the most important steps in the whole process.
Those two things I'm doing are like the most important that nobody ever does, and they wonder why their brakes wear out 1,000 miles after they got brand new ones.
Because they put too much pressure on?
Because these aren't, the slide pins aren't sliding. Mm-hmm. And then these, there's rust, so they're squeezing the pads, so the pad's not sliding.
And they don't like back up? They're supposed to
release, they don't release.
Okay.
A lot of the time.
Okay. Once the brake pins, brake calipers, and caliper brackets are clean, you want to put lubricant on the brake pins. You want to use something really good, and it should be specific to brakes. Matt likes to use Permatex Ceramic Extreme Brake Parts lubricant. In his opinion, it's the best. Once all the parts are clean, you want to install the new brake clips onto the caliper bracket. To clarify, the bracket is what holds the pads in place. The caliper is the thing with the piston that slides over the pads and then compresses to actually apply braking pressure. I didn't get a video of it, but the next step is to install the brake rotor. This just slides over the studs. So once the bracket is all set up, you install it back into the car. It was hard to get a good video of this, but this is one of the bolts that holds the brake caliper bracket in place. You don't have to tighten the bolts crazy tight. Here's a comparison of the old pads versus the new one. As you can see, there's almost no pad left at all. Next, you want to clip the pads into the caliper bracket. There's two pads, one on the back side of the rotor and one on the outside. They just kind of clip into place. Once the pads are installed, you'll want to install the caliper. This just slides over the pads and then bolts into place. Again, you don't need to go crazy tight when you put it on. One thing Matt likes to do is use a wire brush in his drill to clean the part of the wheel that touches the brake rotor. This ensures a clean and tight connection between the two parts. At this point, the first side of the car is done, so you can put the wheel back on, lower down the car, and torque the wheel to the proper specs. When Matt did the passenger side of the car, some of the parts were really rusted into place and he couldn't get them off. He ended up using a little heat and they came off pretty easily after that. Once the second side is done, you want to press the brake pedal several times to push out the piston. You'll know it's good when the brakes are difficult to press. It should feel like when you normally drive the car. When you do this, you want to make sure the master cylinder cover is open to let any pressure out of the system. Next, you want to check the brake fluid and add any if necessary. When Matt has the hood open, he also takes a minute and checks the oil level and gives a quick inspection to everything to make sure it's all looking good. Once you do that, the brakes are pretty much done and you're ready to move on to the final step. One thing we didn't show in the video is once the brakes are on and everything's done, you have to take the car out for a test drive. You have to accelerate up to 30 miles an hour and then hit the brakes pretty hard to get the brakes to seat, or I'm not technically sure what it's called, but you want to drive it up to 30 miles an hour, hit the brakes pretty hard so that it stops, and you do that multiple times, and that, you know, Matt would know the word, but it's something you want to do. I guess it gets everything locked in place. So if you have any questions about this, please let us know, drop a comment, and we'd be happy to help out in any way we can. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.